Hello, welcome back to the Reading Mama. My name is Heather, and today I'm going to share my top 5 nonfiction reads for this year. Now, I'm a little bit early, I understand, because it is not November when I'm recording this. And I have a lot of nonfiction books slated to be read in November. However, up until this point, I'm going to share my 5 top favorite nonfiction reads of the year and tell you a little bit about them and see if you would want to read them for Nonfiction November, possibly. These are my 5 favorites. I usually read a lot more nonfiction in the year, but this is what I got for this year. So I'm going to start with the biographies because they're all kind of similar. They pretty much happen around the same time period. And so we're going to start with those. I read Unbroken by Lauren Hillenbrand. And of course, many of you know it because of the Angelina Jolie movie that was made about Louis Zamperini. But this is some phenomenal writing. I kid you not. I loved Unbroken. I share about it in my wrap-up video from earlier this year. It is phenomenal. Not only is his story just amazing from start to finish, like he just had an insane, crazy life, but the author of that writes so well and so witty, and you just there are times where you laugh out loud, and just it was so enjoyable. I cannot recommend it enough. He had a hard youth. He had a hard life in the military, hence the movie. And he had a hard life afterwards. And in the end, it's not just because he turned his life to Christ that I love this, but that is an added bonus. But it is just a thoughtful and well-written biography. And for it being as thick as it is, that's hard to do with some people. And Lauren Hillenbrand just meets all the steps to the point where I would never ever want to read a book about a racehorse. But she wrote Seabiscuit, and I'm kind of like, maybe I do want to read it because the author was just so good. My second recommendation biography is God Smuggler, and this is about Brother Andrew, and this is a little post-World War II, so we're getting a little further in history and his time after that, and his journey to smuggle Bibles beyond the Iron Curtain. And it is truly an amazing story. Again, not amazing just because it's Christian, though that always does win my heart a little bit. But Brother Andrew's story and testimony of his life in the military and his struggles there are phenomenal. And then telling how he turned his life around, gave his life to the Lord, and started serving in just truly miraculous ways. And God just used him in mighty ways to bring forth so many people to trust in Christ, but also to get the Bible into places in just unique and amazing ways. It is really a wonderful book, and that I highly recommend the audiobook version also, but it is a phenomenal book. And the last biography I'm going to share is another Behind the Iron Curtains biography, and that is called Saving My Assassin, and I cannot remember her name. This is an autobiography, and it is not what I expected, but you get a touch of the life in Romania after World War I, or World War II, sorry, after World War II, and just the insanity. It was just not a good place to live. And for most of the story, the young woman is not a Christian, but she sees that there are people who are not being represented, and it talks about her life of becoming a lawyer in Romania and how she used the law to uphold the rights of the underprivileged. And it is just a phenomenal story. And Saving My Assassin, the title, goes right along with something that happens in the story that is just amazing. It happens towards the end, so I'm not going to give it away, but you can imagine. But it is a wonderful, wonderful autobiography. Then I have 2 that are nonfiction books that I would pick them up and read them again. And the first is The Disappearing Spoon. And it has a really long subtitle that I don't remember, but I love this book. This book is not a Christian book. He, did not have nice things to say about Christians in the end, but I loved the book because, as I said in my wrap-up video, Disappearing Spoon is like science with gossip. I am not a gossipy person, but he goes through various elements and talks about how they were discovered and how they were utilized, and it's funny because you tells the story of so many scientists in these love quarrels and friendship quarrels, and these this person did this and that. I mean, there's this backstabbing, there's all kinds. I mean, sorry. ran out of battery there for a minute. But Disappearing Spoon, phenomenal writing, hilarious, something you just want to curl up and read. It's just great. And I enjoy the science part of it too, because I do enjoy science. So, I mean, if science is not your thing, you may not like reading about all the different elements. But I felt like he made it very approachable and applicable to real world scenarios and ways it's been used throughout time. And it was a good read. Another one that you wouldn't think would be so good was called The Secret History of Home Economics. I picked this up on a whim. I had nothing in my Libby account. I was like, I just want a nonfiction book to read. And so I was like, let's look up home ec, or homemaking. And this is Secret History of Home Economics came up. Phenomenal writing again. The author does an amazing job, but she tells the story of home economics from start to finish, basically. So you might think, well, that's just what you do in the house. Well, yes and no. It actually is a science of study, and it is amazing for how it started trying to improve people's lives. And I have a quote somewhere where in the end, they went through all these different progressions and spin-offs and things. And home economics, they're like, our goal in home economics is to make the modern homemaker happier. That's their goal. And they did it by trying to make the world better. I know that sounds very cliche, very Miss America, but by helping women learn how to make things cleaner in the inner cities, by helping people to cook better during the Depression, to help people figure out how to even survive during the Dust Bowl, so many things. And then all these studies of science, because they actually did use science to find a lot of those different things out, and then spun off into these other careers that they are today. But a lot of what is in food prep and things like that, and a lot of it we will say is evil today, but it all started out with those studies in home economics. And those first women scientists, and some men, were truly scientists studying, how can I better clean my home? How can I better prepare this food to make it nutrient dense and cost efficient? So much science, so much math. And it's a phenomenal story. She tells it in a very story-like fashion with multiple biography snippets throughout. Absolutely wonderful. I highly recommend it. So yeah, those are my top 5 nonfiction recommendations that I've read this year. So if you have any nonfiction recommendations from this year that you've just loved, drop them in the comments below. If you don't have a nonfiction recommendation, maybe nonfiction's not your thing, go ahead and drop me a book emoji below to let me know you made it to the end of this video. And thank you again for watching. Have a blessed day.